Hi, good evening. This is Kalyan Karmakar joining you from Mumbai, and thanks for joining in to this Insta Live broadcast. This is part of my series, which I call Foodocracy India, and which I started about a month back once the lockdown started. Though I'd been thinking about it for almost a year, but like they say, there's no time like now. Foodocracy India is an initiative which I started to sort of help create a positive vibe around the restaurant industry, the eating out industry. To give a shout out to our favorite eating places, regardless of whether they're street side joint or family run establishments or modern cafes or fine dining places or government institutions, but any place where we like to go and eat and places which make us happy, made us happy, and will make us happy again. The idea of doing this is to create, like I said, a positive groundswell around the industry at a time when the mood is low, it's despondent with a lot of things being shut, everything coming to a standstill. But things are going to come back, I'm pretty sure. Until then, what we can do as food lovers is definitely express our love for our favorite places. So I started this initiative first through my blog, Finely Chopped, and then I moved it to a podcast format, and I'm using Instagram Live, and I'm inviting all of you to join the Foodocracy India movement. It's your own movement. Just use the hashtag Foodocracy, like in democracy, so Foodocracy India, and then share stories of your favorite eateries, and in a format you're comfortable with, whether it's writing, video, photographs, any social media platform you're comfortable with, whether it's blog, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Just go ahead and do it. WhatsApp. Just use the hashtag Foodocracy India so that we can collect all of this at some point. At this point, it's all completely self-initiated, so it's a bit unorganized perhaps, but that's how people's movements happen, right? And these are places where India eats, and that's why it's Foodocracy or Democracy India. So what I'm doing now is while I'm on Instagram Live, I'm actually creating this as a AV audiovisual podcast, and it's going to be anything between 30 to 40 minutes unless I get carried away. And which is why, unlike in a normal live, I will not be answering all your questions at this point, though I'm noting them. And if you have questions or points of view on Koshys, please share them, and I'll sort of try to address them towards the end. What I'm later going to do is, if technology permits, I'll save this video and share it on my Instagram page, The Finely Chopped, on my Facebook page, which is Finely Chopped by Kalyan Karmakar, on my YouTube channel, hopefully, Finely Chopped TV by Kalyan Karmakar, so you can watch it anywhere. And if you want to watch it without looking at me, then I've figured out the technology, and I've started sharing these on my Anchor podcast as well, and it's available on 10 channels. Apple Podcasts, it's there on Spotify, Anchor, wherever. You have absolutely no reason to, no excuse to not watch it or listen to it. You can do it at whichever format you prefer. The only thing is, at certain points, I'm going to refer to my blog posts on Koshy earlier and show you some photographs. So if you're listening to it on audio, you might miss the context. Now, one more thing I must say at the start is that I'm not from Bangalore, or Bengaluru as you'd like to call it. I've grown up in Calcutta. I live in Mumbai, and therefore, not being a Bengaluru insider, I will not have probably as vivid or rich a point of view on Koshys as people from Bangalore would have. But still, I do have a story to tell, and I'm going to tell that. And I find Koshys to be a very interesting place. It's definitely a legend in modern Bangalore. It's been there from the 1940s, from what I saw on a scroll article on the internet. Started as a bakery at St. Mark's Road, and then became a restaurant at the mid 1940s over there where the current restaurant stands. And it's run by a gentleman called Prem Koshy, who's very popular. I think he's in his late 50s now. I've seen him a couple of times. I've not interacted with him. I don't know anyone from Koshys, but they're very kind. They had put up a picture and poster of my book, The Traveling Belly, saying that it featured Koshys. So if you go there, it's still there. I go there every time and take pictures, and many of my readers kindly take pictures of the Traveling Belly poster at Koshys and send it to me. That feels great. So if anyone knows Prem Koshy, please thank him on my behalf. I find the take on Koshys to be really interesting because there are people who obviously love Koshys because whenever I go there, the place is packed and it's legendary. A lot of the people who love Koshys are not necessarily on social media. If you go and see on social media, then there are a lot of people who feel that Koshys is overrated or past its prime, and they say that they don't know what's the fuss about. But then that's what social media is about, to go and say things are overrated. I feel that saying something is overrated without qualifying your comment is a very overrated sort of reaction and not worth much credence. And also the thing is that that's a problem which any iconic place will face. So whether it's Moti Mahal of Delhi or places like Nizams or Fluris of Calcutta or Noor Mohammadi or Jafar Bhai in Mumbai, if a place has been there for long, then there will be people who feel that it's past its prime, that it's overrated. Some of it could be valid. I can't comment on that because I've not been going there for years. In fact, my first visit to Koshi was in 2010. And I'd of course heard of the place for long. In fact, my first visit to Bangalore was earlier in 1997 when I just started my career as a market researcher. I'd moved out of, I'd finished my MBA in Calcutta and ISWBM. I'd joined IMRB and I'd come to Bangalore on a sort of a training project, market research project. And I was staying at a hotel called St. Mark's Hotel, which is still there, but on St. Mark's Road. And I've stayed there later as well, but at that time it was pretty new. And I saw Koshys outside, but I just started working and ordering from room service in a hotel, even if it was 4-star, to me was like an ultimate dream. So I would just keep ordering room service from at St. Mark's and eat in the room rather than stepping out. So I didn't go to Koshys then. A few years later, I got to know of Koshys from my wife's then boss, a lady called who was Kumuda Rao, who'd spent a fair bit of time of her life in Bangalore, and she'd praised Koshys a lot to Kenaz, my wife. And then when I went back in 2010 to Bengaluru, I was still in market research then. I was working with a company called TNS, and I had started blogging then. It was about 3 years since I'd begun blogging, and I wanted to. And by then, I think I was done with my moho or attraction with hotel room service. I was in sort of midlife ennui and mid-career stage where I sort of felt that I'd been there and done that. And therefore, I was checking out these legendary places. And I went to Koshys and I went with this couple, Naina, who was my colleague at Nielsen. Sorry, I was at Nielsen, not TNS then. Or was I at TNS? I'm not too sure. So Naina was with us in Mumbai in TNS, and then she moved to Bangalore. And she and her husband were there. And we made plans to meet up. And I was staying at St. Mark's, by the way. They had just sort of refreshed themselves. And Naina used to blog, and we were those early bloggers, and we made plans to meet up. And Naina said that, there's UB City and we should go there, and there's this place, that place. So I said, Naina, if you don't mind, can we go to Koshys? So Naina said, look, I'm not sure. Are you sure you like Koshys? And there's that. I said, no, I really want to check out Koshys. So that's the plan we made, and Naina and her husband, 2010, we went there. And, the moment I stepped in, I broke into a huge smile. So it was dinner. So we'd gone at 8 o'clock. Bangalore shuts early. And the moment I met Naina and her husband, and we walked in, and I'm going to show you, flip over and show you the laptop and my blog from then. So if you're later listening to me on Anchor, then you might not be able to see these pictures, but just listen on. So that's my blog, Finely Chopped. And 2010 is when I'd gone to Koshys, and 20th November, and around 8 o'clock. And when I walked in with Naina and her husband, and the moment I walked into Koshys, I felt that I was transported back to Calcutta of the 80s and 90s, these restaurants which were at Dalhousie and Esplanade, and it was the same vibe. And sure enough, there were chicken cutlets, and I ordered chicken cutlets, and I and I broke into such a big smile because this chicken cutlet took me back to the Park Street joints of Calcutta. I won't say street food because the chicken actually had chicken. So the chicken cutlets of the street food of Calcutta has only potato and just a few shreds or a bit of chicken dust. But if you go to these Park Street places or clubs like Tolly Club and so on, you'll find chicken. So the vibe was like that, and the French fries, and and then we had the pork vindaloo and then the Keralite proper. I later learned that Koshys is a Malayali family which runs it. We had the Keralite prawn curry, and we drank, I think, Old Monk and stuff like that. Alcohol wasn't too expensive. There we are, 2010. Naina and her husband, and that's me in Koshys. And the first thing which struck me, like I said about Koshys, was that it took me back to Calcutta of the 90s. And it's a bit funny because, Naina and her husband, I'm sorry I don't recollect his name at this point, I need to look up the blog. But they told me that, what, Koshys is actually a very favorite place of ours, and at that point they just moved into Bangalore. And they said they often went on date nights to Koshys on Fridays and so on. They just felt that Koshys is not fancy enough for me, is what they thought. And that's why they were trying to take me to UB City. So I said that, guys, this is the sort of place which I really love. And that's us. Let me see what were we drinking. I think that looks like whiskey to me and stuff. And we had a lovely meal, whether it's the cutlet, fish curry, and so on. This was dinner in Koshys, 2010, my first experience of Koshys. And that's why I wanted to tell you that, later, as I got more into food writing, Twitter especially, there were a lot of Bangalore people who would diss Koshys and say it's overrated and stuff like that. There's better in Bengaluru. And that's what Foodocracy India is about. Foodocracy India is really a place for us to express our love about a place. It is not a place to make lists or say that this is the best place or the best dish and all that sort of stuff. Let's leave the lists to other people because all lists look the same beyond a point. It'll be this restaurant at number 1, that restaurant at 2, and someone else's list will say number 2 is number 1 and stuff like that. Let's instead talk about places which we love, and that's what I'm going to do at Foodocracy India. And of course, they would be better, they would be worse and stuff like that, but that's not what it's about. Now the thing about Koshys, and that's an interesting point which my friend Ronak Kundu sort of pointed out when I met him when I went to speak at the Times Lit Fest in Bengaluru a few months back, and we met for lunch at Koshys. The moment I sort of landed, I flew down and went straight for lunch there. Is that Koshys is at St. Mark's Road, which is in a way the old city centre of Bengaluru, though UB City is pretty close by as well. But Bengaluru, like most of the big modern metros of India, has just grown and grown like a gangly teenager, and it's the same whether it's Mumbai, Calcutta, Delhi, and the cities really, all these cities have expanded, and like a gangly teenager, there's no rhyme and rhythm. And of course Bangalore has now terrible traffic. It's no longer the cool garden city, and if you're not near MG Road, it's not easy to go there. And MG Road is where I used to stay in my market research days. But when I went back to Koshys or Bangalore rather as a food writer, I was staying in hotels at Whitefield, which is pretty far off. Or when I was consulting with a agency, I was staying at a small place at Koramangala because a lot of clients were there. So from Koramangala, the idea of going to MG Road is sort of impossible. So one didn't go to Koshys. From Whitefield, I think it's easier to go to Delhi and catch a flight and have a bite at Karim's and try to go to Koshys. So 2010, loved Koshys. After that, for years I didn't go back to Koshys till I did again. You know when? 8 years later, 2018. And when I was staying in MG Road again, I had gone back to Bengaluru. Bengaluru, I think even more than Delhi, is the city I've traveled to the most since 97 on work, whether it's as a market researcher or a food writer. It's probably more than Delhi. Delhi might be a bit more because now my brother, sister-in-law and niece stays there, so I look for opportunities to go to Delhi. But natural pull has been to Bengaluru. So I was there in 2018. I was staying at the Hyatt Centric, I had gone there to do the Sodexo CXO food walk, finely chopped food walk on behalf of Sodexo, which was going to be at Koramangala, but I was staying at the Hyatt Setting. And I was wondering where to go for breakfast, and I was thinking of going to MTR, uh, because I like MTR breakfast, but the original MTR was not close by, and there was a branch, and I woke up and I probably put on Instagram or Twitter saying, wonder where should I go for breakfast. And suddenly my friend from Bengaluru, Nandita Iyer, who's one of the stalwart bloggers from there, who's been blogging from even before I did. Nandita said that go to Koshys and have the omelette. And it's a bit funny because Nandita is of course vegetarian, but she eats eggs. But and Koshys is known more for non-vegetarian food. But she said that go there. There's some construction work going on. It can get a bit claustrophobic, but go and sit by the window, and I think you'll like it. So I Ubered it or whatever, and I'm going to take you back to my blog again to show you the pictures. And I went there in 2018, and my God, if there's one restaurant or place I've fallen in love in the last couple of years, that would be Koshys. I just walked in and there was a sense of inner peace, like the heading said. I went for the mutton omelette, perfectly folded. I was alone, but I wanted to try the liver toast. So nice, crisp toast and butter, liver on it. And I went for the Koshys special coffee, filter coffee, which is again brilliant. And look, I'm not a South Indian, but it was nice and strong, and this huge bowl of ketchup with it, like nothing like too fancy. They're unapologetic about their ketchup. And when they said mutton omelette, I thought it might be keema or stuff like that, but I think it was pieces of mutton inside. And when you walk into St. Mark's Road and walk past Casey Das and the entire vibe over there, forget the traffic, forget the nonsense. It's not that difficult. And you walk into there, oh my God, it was just like being in coffee house in Calcutta, except the food is much better. And I think that's me sitting over there. Unless there was someone else. I have a feeling that was me. Maybe I got someone to click my picture. And they say that I thought that in a place like this the service won't be good, but actually the waiters, who are largely elderly folks or middle aged, most helpful. They even sort of indulged me when I requested them to take my pictures. They got the order the way I wanted. I said get everything together because I had to take an Instagram flat lay. They do it. It reminded me a bit of Flurries of old, because Flurries today is more upmarket. This is the window, and there was a gentleman sitting by the window, and he was reading the Times of India on a Sunday. And I was just thinking that, a week later from then was when the first installment of my Times Kitchen Tales was going to come out, and I was wondering whether he'll read it next week. And this was the gentleman who was serving me that day. Very helpful, very polite, got everything together. And, this is the mutton omelette. I think it was minced meat in that. Minced meat. And I must tell you, of course, Bangalore is famous for good quality meat, but how juicy was the mutton? Like, I've sometimes had keema in Irani cafes in Mumbai where it's a bit smelly. Nothing like that. Great quality meat, so juicy, so well flavored. Nandita told me she had the vegetable omelette with vegetables stuffed in, but the mutton omelette was so nice. And I was a bit tempted, so I went in for the liver and toast. Crisp bread, soft white bread, butter on it, liver tossed with a bit of spices. And I used to have liver sandwiches as a kid in Calcutta while growing up with the leftover liver from the chicken curry. Brought back memories. And the coffee which came with the special coffee, and the sugar is over here. It takes you back to, places like Tolly Club and so on in Calcutta. And I sat there, and like I said, I requested the waiter to take my picture, and I took a book with me, and I was sitting and reading, and in a happy place, like I said. And later, of course, I met some friends, and that's Nandita over there, Monica Manchanda, all my friends over there who were joining in that day, and also Raina Shetty came, and there was Megha Deokale, so all blogger friends in Bangalore. And I just loved the vibe. And since then, whenever I've had the chance to stay in south of Bangalore, I have gone back to Koshys. I think I've done breakfast one or two times again when I was staying at the Leela in South Bangalore, when I'd gone to speak at the Times Lit Fest. And what I'd do is I'd go quickly in the morning, have breakfast at Koshys, and then go back to my session. Or if my session was when I landed, I'd go next morning before leaving the city. And in my last trip, which was again uh, to Bangalore for the Times Lit Fest, I went to Koshys, but this time for lunch, and I'll show you the pictures in a bit. So what I did was I landed in Bangalore airport and caught up with my friend Ronak and Kundu, and I said, "Come to Koshys." Ronak Kundu runs the Bangalore Foodie Club, and he had a lot of new fancy places he wanted me to go with. I said, "Please let me go to Koshys," and he was sporting enough, and he did so. And he himself was going to Koshys 10 years later, and there was a reason for it. And he said that it's simply because he now lives in a more central part of Bangalore and finds it difficult to come to Koshys. And but he said he used to love it, and he actually parked in a no parking zone that day. But we had a lovely lunch, and I'm going to show you that as well, and I'm going to show you the smiles on our faces, and I think that's a typical Koshys thing. So that's Ronak over here. That's me, and that's what we ordered that day. We'd ordered a cozy chicken curry. Our waiter had warned us that it's spicy as hell, but I enjoyed it. And then there was pork fry. We were going for a vindaloo, but the waiter said that it's a Kerala style speciality of it. We went for rice, roti. They didn't have appams over here. And whatever spiciness was there, I sort of had filter coffee, of course, and then this lovely caramel custard which we shared. That's us sitting there. And that's the elderly bus boy who was clearing up. And very interesting. I've seen him earlier as well. So he said he's been working here for the last 5 or 10 years. And we'd ordered a lot of food, as you can see, and Ronak and me, because I wanted to try everything. So there's the chicken curry, there's the pork, there's the papad which came with it, the rice, this thing. We couldn't finish everything, so Ronak, I think, packed what we couldn't. And that's when the elderly busboy sort of said that, you know what, in Hindi, that it's almost like the people who have enough to eat order food more than what they want, and those who don't get enough food. And that's so true. I mean, thankfully we didn't waste it. We took the food and went back. But the thing is that both Ronak and I, when we were going to Koshys, it was also for us. We were in a way food tourists. We were indulgent. We went there for the experience, and therefore we ordered more than what we did. And that's what I do when I go alone as well. I go for the omelette or the cutlet, which I had again, or the liver toast. But I'm going there once in a while, and I want to try out everything. And the food is so good, I make sure that nothing is wasted. But Koshys is also the sort of place which made me name Foodocracy India, because these are the sort of places where India goes to eat. And these are the sort of places where food is about subsistence. It's not about entertainment. So people go there to eat, to hang out, to meet their friends. I have never been hurried in Koshys. And there have been times when I've gone in the morning at, say, 9:30, 10, and it seems that I, at my mid-40s, is the youngest person around. And then, there are all these elderly gentlemen sitting there in the corner, reading their newspapers and stuff. And the food comes, and I suddenly stand up and take a flat lay. And they're unperturbed. They're unperturbed. You can't ruffle a Bangalorean. I mean, look at Srinath, Kumble, all these players, Dravid. They would never be ruffled. So I don't think you can ruffle the Bangaloreans. But as the day progresses, because sometimes I spend like 2 and 3 hours or more sitting there reading, eating, maybe ordering some more coffees. And I see younger crowds come in. I've seen people coming at times with dragging their suitcases and stuff like that in groups of 2 or 3. They take their picture, they Instagram it, they have a good time and go on. And that to me is the charm of places like Koshys. Like I said, the legacy goes back, according to the Scroll article, to 1940, when it started as a bakery at St. Mark's. Then the restaurant started in the mid-50s, and it's been there since then. So that's a legacy of about 80 years. And for the restaurant, about say 70 odd years. Prem Koshi is the third generation of the family who's running it now. And they've had their ups and downs from whatever I've understood. But the fact is that And they've experimented different things. So there's Jewel Box where it's air conditioned and they do continental buffets, this that, and then there's the main Koshy's Parade Cafe, which is where I like going and sitting, non-air conditioned, that 80s 90s socialist era feel, uh, you know, and I love that, and I love ordering the cutlet. I love ordering the stuffed omelette, the mutton omelette. I love having the liver and toast. It was spicy as hell, but I love the Keralite pork fry and the cozy chicken curry, cozy code from Kerala, and then the filter coffee, the special filter coffee, and the caramel custard after all of that. So the fact that they have been at it for so many years, so consistent, passion driven, family driven, with so much pride in what they're doing, I think is makes what Koshys is what it is, and that's what Foodocracy India is about. Koshys probably doesn't even have an Instagram handle, and I don't think they really care, and they possibly don't even need to because they run full. A lot of places which I'm going to talk about over here are not really into marketing. They're not places which are covered. They're not places which are on lists and so on. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't share our love for them. So I'm going to ask you to do that as well using hashtag Foodocracy India. And now, especially if you're listening to me later, because I started doing this on an Instagram live format, but I'm going to share this later on my Facebook page, Finely Chopped by Kalyan Karmakar, Instagram, The Finely Chopped, YouTube, Finely Chopped TV by Kalyan Karmakar, and podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, everywhere, which is Radio Finely Chopped. So no running away, but you can watch this later at your leisure. But since this is Instagram live and you won't be able to see this later, there are people who are putting in a lot of comments and questions. I'm going to try to address some of that before I end. There's my friend Digonto, who's become a Koshys fan now. He's gone in with another common friend, new friend, Somanna from Bangalore, and they hang out at Koshys. Somanna loves Bangalore, Koshys. He also introduced me to the Gouda, the Uta company, and also a lovely Gouda military cafe, which we'd been to. FC boy O'Neill, just a day or two back, we were speaking on his Insta Live about the food on Kerala, and he says that Koshys on Sunday used to be the yesteryear's social before everything else happened. I think he's referring to social from the impresario chain. There's my friend Shashwati. She started going to Koshys from the late 90s, and since then no trip to Bangalore was complete without a visit to Koshys. I think now I actually try to choose hotels in South Bangalore, or if it's South Bangalore, when I go, because so that I can go to Koshys. Being connoisseur is saying has legacy, no doubt. Reminds me of Olipub and Park Street. Very right. I went to Olipub more or less at the same time for the first time, 2010. I was a Bhaluchale in college, didn't go there then. But the vibe is very similar, but I think it's cleaner and the food is better. But we're not getting the comparisons here. I think earlier someone was talking about Flurys, Oindrila. Are you happy with the current quality of Flurys? Well, to be really honest, I have not been there in the last maybe 3 or 4 years. When we last went 3 years back for breakfast, I have a strategy at Flurys. There are 2 or 3 basic things which they do well, like from the heritage breakfast, like the baked beans heritage toast, or the omelets, the basic omelets, the chicken puff. For old time steak, I have the strawberry cube, and I stick to that. I wouldn't do too much of Benedict, this, that, whatever. I just go to Flurys for the vibe, the dreams of Calcutta, which I once dreamt when I was living there. And for me, Flurys is fulfilling that. I will probably talk of foodies some days in Foodocracy India, and I do hope to go back someday. And it's run by the Park Hotel chain now. So I know my friend Kanish, for example, goes there and is very unhappy with the food, but keeps going back. So that's the lure of places like this. Hopefully they will get their act together in case they're having issues. But not living in Calcutta, I don't think I can sort of give a pointed feedback with a sense of confidence on Flurys. But we are talking about Koshys here, not Flurys. But of course, it's natural to sort of talk of places like Flurys, Olipub, Koshys, all in the same breath. I want to see if there's anyone else who's left a comment. Otherwise, I'm going to end this broadcast. Anshu Mach is saying, hello sir, how are you? I'm very fine, thank you. Oindina likes the croissants and chocolate shortbreads. I'm assuming at Flurys and not Koshys. And just before I end, I remember someone in the beginning was asking me about my cat, that's Baby Loaf. I think he's been sleeping most of the day, unless he's disappeared. And there he is. Hi, baby loaf. Hi, baby loaf. Say hi. So in good Bombaya standard, he's extended our house, and that's, oh, there he is. There's my baby loaf. So our my study box window grill where the AC is, he's made it his resting abode, and that's baby loaf. He was sleeping through most of the day. He's grooming himself for his evening snack, and then he's going to sleep again. So all the baby loaf fans here. All the Baby Loaf fans here, you got to see Baby Loaf as well. He's doing pretty well and says hi to you. And he's going to live up the evening now. He's going to have an evening snack. I think so will I. And thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Foodocracy India, which was on Koshys Bengaluru. For me, it's a restaurant which I first went to in 2010. I don't live in Bangalore, but I think it's over a breakfast in 2018 by myself that I fell in love with the place. And it's one place which I'm really keen to go back to soon. And I'm going to end you with my recommendations at Koshys based on what I like. For breakfast, I love the chicken cutlet, I love the mutton omelette, I love the liver toast, I love the filter coffee, so basically everything I tried over there. And when I went for lunch with Ronak, and then I really enjoyed the Kerala pork fry and the cozy chicken curry, but it's really hot stuff. And I later had to have the caramel custard to soothe my tongue. So this is Kalyan Karmakar signing off. Thank you for joining this. I'm going to share this later on various places, including on my podcast on Anchor, Spotify, so you can listen to it there as well. And thank you. And once again, please use the hashtag FoodocracyIndia to talk about your favorite food places and food people across the country in your social media channels. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay home for now and wear masks if you go out. Thank you. Bye.